Hi, everyone. Welcome back. We did it. Day one is over, and we really hope you enjoyed today as much as we did. A great variety across the board in terms of products and conversations and just all in all, just celebrating great design. And so we're here to kind of bring you the highlights that we saw and get you prepared for tomorrow. So Claire and Odile, what were your favorite moments, favorite talks? What were your biggest takeaways?
Can I say something first?
Oh, sure.
I love being sitting here.
Oh.
I love this set. No, it's
yeah, the set is beautiful.
I love it. All day long I was watching, and it's just so beautiful. So yeah, you know what I loved? I loved starting the day with Moy. I mean, I can't stop loving that brand. They are just what we need right now. It's just poetry. It's beautiful. It's always super creative. It's simple. It's playful. I mean, I love it.
Yeah.
The new collection, the old collection, everything is just, they can't stop amaze me by how beautiful what they are doing. Always, it's always beautiful, well designed. I love it.
Stacy especially loved Sofa So Good.
Sofa
So fast, so good. And the name.
That name
I mean,
is so good.
From the title to the design to the concept to the story to the movie, the videos are all, I mean, it's just, I mean, yeah, that's
And I love how they keep inventing how to instill a sense of playfulness while still being very relevant to what they're producing.
We want to smile, right? We want to smile, and they make us smile.
Yeah.
Love it.
For me, it was kind of a very inspiring, especially morning, because we were discussing so much about how people felt through this whole time, and so I was taking notes, and I realized I was like taking all these notes with all these words, and they kept coming back. It was bizarre. Like I kept writing the same words over and over. So I had like being together, human connection, feel reassured, be connected, adapting, evolving, learning, challenging, hard work, humility. I mean, there were so many big ideas that were way beyond the products, right? So we were really talking about people and how we feel in this world today, and how it is relevant to still talk about design and feel that, yes, we need to support the industry and continue doing what we do. But at the end of the day, with everything that's happening, we feel as people all these things are emerging. And I have two quotes that I noted. There was one from Ellen Fisher, which was, no other industry, design industry, no other industry has that drive and creativity to go through change, and I really like that. And then there was one from Shant Juniper, who I was super happy to have here. And Shant said, it's the focus that drives success.
Yep.
And even if those two statements were really about work and business, they actually related to who we are and what we are living right now, what we're going through. So that was kind of my takeaway of this morning.
Okay, so I have to take notes tomorrow, but no, but
yes. You can't. You're on stage all the time.
Look at my notes.
I know. Well, no, I think you hit on a really important part, and as you said, it's not only that we should be celebrating design, but now the new importance of design, and just that we will be more thoughtful, we will be more meaningful across products, across projects, across everything that we touch, and so that is a huge silver lining from this pandemic
and
that we've been going through.
And more sincere too, because we need to talk about that human element that sometimes before was maybe kind of brushed over.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why we love this format. I mean, can I say that?
Sure.
I mean, no, I mean, just CLOSEUP coming up, right? We feel. I mean, just coming up with something that is real, we can touch.
Yeah.
I mean, from distance, but we can touch this, we can be here together. This is I mean, it's all new for us, this TV show format, but I
learning
love
curve.
it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the notions that we had was that it was about the product, but it was also about being able to tell the story behind the product. And I think if you looked at any of those videos today, any of the presentations, it did just that. How it's made, who made it. It's not just the end game per se. And I think one in particular that I enjoyed was David Weeks' story, who's an artist by education, who's applying technology to a process. But at the end of the day, he still says it's more in his hands and then in his head that
Right.
gives the product the end product that he produces. I just think hearing that kind of story, but also hearing and walking through the studio with him and looking at where they assemble the parts and where they create the parts and then where they assemble the parts. I mean, there's a story, and it's that story that I think makes this format really, really, really good.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, it was fantastic to see inside everyone's studios today as well. It's always great to look at, how their process and their materials relate to what the end product looks like, and also how that's changed this year. I mean, for a lot of the designers we spoke with, their deadline pressures have changed. Everyone has had a moment to kind of slow down and recalibrate. So I think it was interesting to see how many studios have kind of started mining their own material, kind of looking back to their early collections and reconnecting with some of the work that they were doing early on. Think about what Grey Pants was doing in Seattle, say, by returning to cardboard and things like that. It's cool to see how people are sort of using the time, really, now that they don't necessarily have the pressure to produce toward a show every few months.
Right.
Right.
And
No, go.
And I think there were a lot of other positives of this current environment that especially came out in the early morning session, talking about workplace changes in the workplace and how people view the ability to work from outside the office. But it's a difficult time. But I think that going back to the roots, talking about the workplace, there are positives in this market that came out today.
No, and I think I was going to say the same thing, just the silver linings, just finding that, even Shant from Juniper said, like they're taking this time to look within and, continue to better their processes. And, David Lee Davis from Rote Studios just saying like they're rethinking how they allow people to work, right? And just understanding that there's individuals behind, every person, which sounds, or, a different story behind each person, and taking that into account. So adding to the story, there's many stories that were being told today that I think were really great.
I love Lutron's story too.
Yeah.
Lutron, sorry, I have a hard time. Lutron's story, I mean, they were really pioneering with this idea of controlling light and the electric light and the natural light. So I thought it was really super interesting to listen to that talk too, with Clever, with Amy and Cecilia and Drew. I mean, it was super interesting. Yeah.
And I think another highlight was how happy people were arriving here and being part of an event live. I mean, that was throughout the day, like just everybody said, oh, this is so nice to be here together. And yes, we have to keep our distance, and yes, we have to keep our mask on, but still we together. And that's such a relief to finally be able to feel normal a little bit.
Well, and even, Robin saying how important trade fairs are, just bringing the community together from really, and just that how much people love in this industry to be together and how many they're, friends. And so how can we start to recreate those communities? And so I think this is just one step, into 2021, bringing everyone back. Fingers crossed. No, bringing everyone back in 2021. It's happening.
It is
What
cool
did you-
to see.
sorry, go ahead.
Good. Oh, no, it is just cool to see these new formats emerging, as we're all adapting. I mean, the idea of having such a heavy digital component to a fair is not something that was, as accelerated, I guess, as the need is right now in order to connect with people in the industry. So it's great to see everyone figuring it out.
Right.
And we've heard from a lot of studios who, luckily enough, most of them have remained healthy and sort of looking forward, and we're going to see this year have a lasting effect on how the industry works and how people design. So it's going to be really cool to sort of see the seeds of that emerge in the conversations tomorrow, or continue to emerge in the conversations tomorrow the way that we did today.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking about those studios that we watched this afternoon. I feel like everything is even more, they are all more attentive to the way they are doing things and the attention to details. And when you look at Rosie Lee touching the material, and I was also, I don't know what you thought about that, but the two studios that we saw, Leos and right after Lorek Form, Erin, who was there, both focusing on glass, on the material glass, which is always magical. But you have one that is using it in a way that is so innovative. And for me, it's like the modern craft. I mean, and Erin that has, I mean, with Brooklyn Glass worked with a more like traditional, but all exploring this material. I thought it was interesting to have those two studios next to each other.
Yeah, these both transformations of a pretty
Yeah.
elemental material, one of which feels very software driven. It's very contemporary. The other
yeah.
feels, the result may be very contemporary, but it's almost kind of alchemical how Erin is putting together those pieces and borrowing from different objects she experiences in her life and turning that into a pattern on glass is very, very cool. There's an intimacy to that I really like.
Yeah.
And then on the other end, I love the idea that you're designing with every component of the process, the software, the 3D printing material, finding ways to do something as kind of hands-on as flinging around molten glass and doing it in a way that has such a precision to it and such a very a form derived from a very contemporary process.
Right. And even looking at light art today, creating these light fixtures that are almost like pottery, and they look like they're hand spun. And going back to David Weeks, just how he said, handmade is fun, or I forget his exact words, but just going back to that craft again, but in new ways. And I think that, again, speaks to, people taking that time in the past 9 months to really think about their craft and what they're doing and, what it means and how they can continue to push it.
Ellen Fisher was also talking about this idea of how the handmade is so important. And that trend was kind of there before everything that happened, but it's even stronger now. And there's some sort of introversion and being alone with your hands and having to do something. And she mentioned, the fact that students have to do things by themselves too, where they used to go to a studio and have the tools, and now they kind of like, we have to figure it out. So it's interesting how we've been pushed to come back inside and to really look inwards. And it really came out throughout the day, and especially with the North American studios.
Definitely, just how the people have adjusted their practice and how their approach to how they're working has changed has been interesting to see. And I'm curious to see what the audience thinks too of how this new format is working. And we have some cool stuff coming up tomorrow too.
Yeah, we have a great lineup tomorrow. And we're even thinking too, how do we continue this, how do we keep this digital component moving forward, not just 2 days here and 2 days there, but, throughout the year, so.
You can see a format like this at a trade show.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see it working at a trade show.
Yeah. And
Being able to reach a broader audience. No, but there's good legs with this.
Yeah.
And that's really what we found was doing the program even in May, and that we realized, oh, wait a second, we're reaching way more people now because they don't have to travel. So after we did of course we were sad to cancel the shows, but after we did that program in May with ICFF, we were like, oh, wow, we can actually do much more. So it expanded our mind in so many ways.
Yeah. No, and there is a magic. I mean, I think doing this
Yeah.
with all the crew, fantastic crew, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, it's.
You guys can't see. There's a whole crew behind here.
Yeah.
that's making
A lot of
this
wires.
all
I don't know-
look seamless.
I don't know if people realize how many people are behind this,
Yeah.
and it's not
There's
for
a
us
lot.
the usual,
Mm.
show as we are used to do.
Right.
We had a little stress, to be honest, a little bit,
Tiny.
but everything went smooth, and there is this magic because we have those pros that are playing with the camera, with light, and there is something. I mean, it forced us to be creative, right?
Yep.
In the way we actually are presenting all those people and all those products and all those stories, and I like that.
Yeah, you guys have all of the protocols down in terms
Yeah.
of keeping distancing and sanitizing and things like that. It's cool to see, that we can actually make something like this happen, even if we have to take extra precautions.
Yeah.
We can, yeah. So after we leave the stage, we all put on masks just for those watching. So it's this is kind of the free zone, and then as soon as you step off, you put on your mask. So
We are 6 feet from each other, right?
yes, 6
Yes.
Thanks to those.
And we measured everyone. You guys
Yes.
are probably better than we are.
Yeah.
But okay, so we are wrapping up. We're out of time. We thank you so much for spending day 1 of CLOSEUP with us today. We're super excited about day 2. You can go to closeup.design in to see the whole lineup and join us tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. We kick off with an amazing panel with David Rockwell, restaurateur Melba Wilson, and Javet CEO Alan Steele in conversation about bringing New York back. And David and Melba are behind the whole idea of the dine out and now dine in. So it'll be really interesting to hear their collaboration and how they're, keeping New York strong through all of this and beyond. And please keep sharing on social media at Wanted Design, at ICFF Official. And please share your comments tomorrow. We will share audience feedback at the end of the day. And that's it, I think. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
today.
Thank you, everyone.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you.